Why do some homes look absolutely effortlessly designed while others just kind of look, well, furnished? You know the exact feeling I'm talking about. You walk into a room and everything just clicks. It feels right. But when you try to recreate that exact same vibe in your own space, something is just slightly off. Well, what if I told you that great interior design isn't some elusive, intuitive magic that you're just born with? It's actually a highly structured set of mathematical formulas. Literally just math. So in this explainer, we're going to dive right into the source material and decode exactly what those formulas are, together. Think of this as your masterclass. We are treating home decor like a literal design blueprint. By looking at a room through the lens of cold, hard aesthetic math, it turns out we can completely transform how a space looks, feels, and functions. We're going to explore building a beautifully designed room from the foundation up. Okay, here is our blueprint for today. First, we'll look at foundation, focusing on scale and proportion. Second, optimizing layout and flow. Third, walls, windows, and lighting. And finally, number 4, styling surfaces like a pro. Let's dive into part 1, foundation, scale, and proportion. So before you go out and buy a single throw pillow, it turns out your foundational furniture sizes have to relate to each other properly. If the scale is off, honestly, no amount of decorating is going to fix the room. And the magic number across almost all interior design is this simple fraction, 2/3. This right here is the ultimate secret cheat code for achieving perfect visual balance. It's actually amazing how instantly this rule exposes the most common living room mistakes. If we check the dimensions on the right, a coffee table should be exactly 1/2 to 2/3 the length of your sofa. Anything smaller feels awkwardly dwarfed, like a tiny little island floating in the middle of the room. But anything larger, it aggressively competes with the couch. And for height, it should sit right at about 18 inches. That's roughly in line with your seat cushions, so there's no awkward reaching down into a valley or reaching up over a mountain just to grab your coffee cup. And listen, you absolutely cannot talk foundation without talking rugs. We've all seen the dreaded postage stamp rug mistake, right? It's the fastest way to make a room look disconnected and frankly a bit cheap. The absolutely crucial rule of thumb here is that at least the front legs of your furniture must sit on the rug to anchor the space. Looking at this breakdown, a standard living room setup usually needs a 9x12, an 8x10, or at minimum a 6x9. In the dining room, if you've got a table for 8, you need a 9x12 or an 8x10 so the chairs don't constantly fall off the edge when you pull them out. And in the bedroom, a king or queen bed needs an 8x10 or a 6x9, placed perpendicularly right under the mattress. Moving right along to part 2, optimizing layout and flow. Now that we've nailed down the right sizes, it's all about placement to ensure comfortable living and uncluttered movement. This brilliantly illustrates how much positioning matters, starting literally right at the doorway. In that top layout, having the bedroom door open directly against a side table immediately exposes the bed to the hallway and creates this super cramped, cluttered entrance. But just by simply placing the door on the opposite side, you ensure immediate privacy, give the eye a clear line of sight, and allow for a peaceful, natural flow right into the room. It's a total game changer. And you know, that exact same spatial logic applies perfectly to the living room. There is an optimal, purely mathematical distance between your sofa and the TV, based entirely on screen size. It takes all the guesswork completely out of it. If you have a 50-inch TV, your sofa should be about 2.25 meters away. Are you upgrading to a massive 85-inch screen? Well, that sofa needs to be pushed way back to nearly 4 meters away. It's all about maintaining a comfortable field of vision so the space feels like a relaxing retreat, not a front-row movie theater seat where you're straining your necks the whole time. Speaking of TVs, let's play a quick game of Spot the Difference. Why do the setups on the left feel so visually off, while the one on the right feels perfectly balanced? Yep, it comes right back to proportion. Mounting a TV way too high disconnects it entirely from the room, and matching the TV's width exactly to the console below it creates this heavy, awkward block. Going back to our trusty 2/3 rule, the TV should be roughly 2/3 the size of the media console below it. This leaves a beautiful, breathable 8 to 10 inches of empty space on each side. And before we leave the topic of layout, we have to mention the most famous layout formula of them all, the classic kitchen work triangle. To absolutely maximize your daily efficiency, whether you've got a U-shape, an L-shape, or a G-shaped kitchen, the layout should form a clear, unobstructed triangle connecting your 3 main work zones: the sink, the stove, and the refrigerator. This minimizes your walking distance and makes cooking feel entirely seamless. Okay, part 3. Walls, windows, and lighting. Now let's move upward and look at the vertical space. Did you know you can literally reshape a room's dimensions without tearing down a single structural wall? It's like an optical illusion. By strategically placing paint, you completely trick the eye. Painting the ceiling and the back wall dark instantly lowers and widens the space. Painting just the back wall shortens a room that feels a bit too long. And painting a horizontal band around the middle, that stretches the whole room out. It's wild that we hold the power to completely alter the architecture of a room with just a roller and a can of paint.
And that same visual trickery applies to your windows and art. Hanging a curtain rod as high and wide as possible instantly tricks your brain into thinking the window is massive. Conversely, hanging the rod right on the window frame chokes off the light and shrinks the room down. And as for the artwork, well, it comes right back to our golden rule. Artwork shouldn't just float randomly on a giant wall. It should span about 2/3 the width of the furniture below it, hung just a couple of inches above the sofa, with multiple frames spaced a nice tight 2 to 3 inches apart. Okay, there is one more absolutely crucial anchoring measurement that designers swear by to save you from massive headaches when planning your lighting, and that is the magic number 30. The exact math right here is so incredibly helpful. When you're hanging pendants over a kitchen island, they should be spaced exactly 30 inches apart from their centers, and they should hover 30 to 36 inches above the countertop. Easy, right? Moving over to the dining room, your chandelier needs to drop down to sit 32 to 34 inches above the tabletop. Not higher, not lower. This perfectly keeps the light source in the ideal human sightline, providing amazing illumination without glaring right in your eyes while you're trying to eat dinner. Finally, part 4, styling surfaces like a pro. Now that the structural bones are set, the layout is mathematical, and the lighting is perfectly measured, we can finally dive into the fun stuff, the jewelry of the room. Styling isn't just throwing a bunch of pretty things onto a shelf. As you can clearly see in the don't section, grouping objects of the exact same height or the exact same shape feels really rigid and unnatural. Instead, the secret is varying heights and sticking to odd numbers, so groups of 1, 3, or 5. You want to visually arrange them to form the shapes of the letters M, U, or W. Our brains just naturally love the dynamic, rolling visual rhythm that these specific shapes create. Applying that exact theory to a gorgeous wooden bookshelf, you'll see that every single item has a specific spatial purpose. The smaller vases, layered slightly in front of the artwork, add much-needed depth. And elevating those shorter decorative bowls with a stack of books, that adds necessary height, so the whole shelf doesn't just feel flat and boring. It's all about intentionally mixing shapes, colors, and textures to keep your eye happily dancing across the surface. Let's apply this layering concept to a place you use every single day, your bed. Now, styling a bed can feel super overwhelming, right? Like it's just a massive block of fabric and you don't know what to do with it. But if we break it down into 5 logical, easy-to-follow steps, you can build luxurious 5-star hotel level texture. Watching this build visually is honestly so satisfying. It starts with a totally neutral foundation in step 1, crisp white or cream sheets. Step 2 adds a solid bed blanket, making sure to fold the top down. Step 3 introduces a really fluffy comforter, folded just slightly lower than the blanket so you can see all those layers. Step 4 is where the real personality hits, a pop of pattern with a beautifully draped quilt. And finally, step 5 is tossing a textured throw blanket casually over the foot of the bed. It's this beautiful progression from flat utility straight to deep, inviting luxury. Let's end our styling masterclass right in the center of the living room by decoding the perfect coffee table arrangement. The varied heights are the real star of the show here. A tray serves as the base to literally contain the chaos. Then, some greenery brings in organic life and warmth. Finally, clustering varied elements together, like a tall ceramic jar, a metal lantern for some cool texture, and maybe some wooden beads draped casually, breaks up all those hard, sharp edges. It creates this awesome architectural interest right in the middle of your seating area. So, we've officially broken down the code, from the 2/3 proportion rule and the layout mathematics, all the way down to those odd-numbered styling shapes. Great design is completely within your reach because, at the end of the day, it's just a formula waiting to be applied. So I want you to look around the room you're sitting in right now. Honestly evaluate it. Which of these mathematical design rules are you going to use to transform your space today?